Burnham's Manchesterism got him to number 10, but will it work for the UK? Economics editor Faisal Islam examines whether the Northwest City can be a template for the entire country.
Trump Media to sell instant access to market-moving social posts. Trump Media is launching a fast, paid feed to its most influential posts for Wall Street traders.
UK heatwave approaches two-week mark. All UK nations have experienced recent heatwave conditions, but in southern England, the heatwave has now continued for 13 days. Sarah Keith Lucas looks at how unusual this spell of heat is, and when we might see it easing.
Energy drinks to be banned for under 16s in England from April. It will be illegal to sell high-caffeine beverages to under 16s from April next year, but soft drinks with lower caffeine levels will not be affected.
Kit Connor and Joe Locke. Making a film like Heartstopper will forever be important. The Netflix movie brings Alice Oseman's popular screen adaptation to a conclusion.
Effort, spirit, and moments, but do England lack all-round quality? As England reflect on their World Cup semi-final defeat by Argentina, BBC Sports Phil McNulty looks at what Thomas Tuchel's team were lacking.
Burnham's Manchesterism got him to number 10, but will it work for the UK? Economics editor Faisal Islam examines whether the Northwest City can be a template for the entire country.
Free school meal pupils falling further behind their peers, report warns. The Education Policy Institute says the new Prime Minister should target the issue with laser-like focus.
Trump alleges shocking vulnerabilities in U.S. election security ahead of midterms. The president accuses China of meddling in the 2020 election, directly contradicting past findings from U.S. intelligence.
Burnham's Manchesterism got him to number 10, but will it work for the UK? Economics editor Faisal Islam examines whether the Northwest City can be a template for the entire country.
At the World Cup, has VAR gone too far? Some fans say it's ruining the tournament. In this World Cup, VAR, or video assistant referee, has become ubiquitous and despised by many. But there was a time when fans and teams loved it. What went wrong?
Gulf states come under Iranian fire as U.S. strikes intensify. Tehran targets multiple countries across the region as the wave of U.S. strikes on Iran steps up.
Chinese startup Moonshot AI unveils Kimi model it says rivals OpenAI, Anthropic. It's the latest AI model from China to close the performance gap with leading US AI labs.
New living plastic self-destructs in just 6 days without leaving microplastics. Researchers have created self-destructing living plastic that uses engineered bacteria to completely break itself down when activated. The material degrades in just 6 days without creating microplastics, offering a potential new solution for single-use plastic waste.
Trump pleads not guilty to 34 felony counts. Read the full story for complete details.
What a divorce coach wishes couples knew before ending a marriage. Divorce is a tool, not a weapon, says Karen McNenny, author of a new book on the subject. She explains how to end a marriage while protecting your family and your mental health.
Trump alleges shocking vulnerabilities in U.S. election security ahead of midterms. The president accuses China of meddling in the 2020 election, directly contradicting past findings from U.S. intelligence.
China hits out at British steel nationalization. The UK government said taking the firm into public hands would safeguard a vital national capability.
TikTok faces Ofcom investigation over child age checks. It follows a review by the regulator in May that criticized the platform for not being safe enough for children.
At least one dead in Texas floods ravaging same area where campers died. The same area devastated by floods last year's floods, which caused more than 130 deaths, is once again being hit.
Teenagers from 15 should be given free MenB vaccine, say UK experts. Advisors are asking the government to consider introducing MenB jabs following concerns over an outbreak in Kent earlier this year, in which 2 people died.
Claudia Winkleman quits chat show after one series. Winkleman said she was incredibly grateful for the opportunity, but had been too nervous to enjoy it.
Some England players disappointed by tactics as Tuchel questions team's DNA. BBC Sport understands that Thomas Tuchel's defensive tactics in the World Cup semi-final defeat to Argentina are being hotly debated by the England squad.
Burnham to promise new path for UK when he becomes Labour leader. In a speech on Friday, he will begin to set out his vision for government, before becoming Prime Minister next week.
School suspensions fall in England for the first time since COVID. The government says the pandemic left a pernicious legacy, but that teachers are helping pupils turn a corner.
Canada fires prompt U.S. air quality alerts as smoke blankets major cities. Smoke from more than 800 blazes has filled major cities from Toronto and New York, to parts of the U.S. Midwest and Great Lakes.
China hits out at British steel nationalisation. The UK government said taking the firm into public hands would safeguard a vital national capability.
China's Xi calls for step-up of global effort in AI as US curbs squeeze China's tech access. American-led restrictions have blocked China from accessing some of the world's most advanced technologies, spurring China's efforts to build its own know-how and intensifying the tech race between the world's two biggest economies.
US attacks southern Iran as Tehran hits Gulf countries. What's the latest? Iran struck Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, Jordan and Syria in retaliation for US strikes.
Iran says civilian infrastructure hit by latest US strikes, expands attacks to Syria, Bahrain. The escalating standoff comes as the fragile truce signed by the US and Iran last month showed further signs of unraveling.
Earth has a natural thermostat and scientists finally know how it works. Scientists have identified a hidden feedback loop that may explain how Earth has regulated its climate for tens of millions of years. As sea levels rose and fell, they changed how much phosphate reached the open ocean, affecting marine life and the amount of carbon buried beneath the seafloor. That burial removed carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, helping cool the planet.
Haberman reveals why Trump attacked judge and his family in speech. CNN political contributor Maggie Haberman explains the reasoning behind Donald Trump's attacks on the judge and his family during a speech at his Mar-a-Lago resort after he was arraigned on felony charges.
When temperatures increase, mental health risks can too. Much of the country is reeling under a heat wave, which poses risks not just to people's physical health but also mental health. We look at those risks and who is most likely to be affected.
More than 500 Rohingya vanished at sea. What happened? 2 boats carrying an estimated 530 Rohingyas have disappeared since leaving Myanmar on the 29th of June.
The financial winners and losers from the World Cup. Big bucks are being made from the 2026 tournament off the field, but who is raking in the most?
Teen hackers who live-streamed cyber attack on TfL jailed. Owen Flowers and Thil Hajubair were convicted for their roles in the attack, which led to large costs for transport for London.
Watch. Flood waters surge in Texas after huge rainstorms. The deluge prompted evacuations and water rescues in the same region where 25 children and 2 counselors at Camp Mystic died in flooding in 2025.
NHS manager says trust wanted 4,000 reports gone. He tells an inquiry he believed a trust was panicking and was discouraged from raising rota issues.
Kris Jenner's mother Mary Jo dies aged 91. Mary Jo, MJ, Campbell was featured on multiple episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians over the years.
World Cup stars who could move this summer. As the World Cup approaches its end, attentions are turning to the 2026-27 club season, and the players who could be on the move this summer.
When does Andy Burnham become Prime Minister? 6 key questions answered. He is set to replace Sir Keir Starmer as the UK's PM on Monday after winning Labour's leadership race.
Online marketplaces still selling dozens of unsafe baby products, which fines, pillows, sleeping bags and feeders subject to safety notices were found on sites including Amazon and TikTok.
What to know about the Canadian and U.S. wildfires and their impact. Wildfires in Ontario have blanketed U.S. and Canadian cities with dangerous smoke.
Targeted prostate cancer treatment cuts risk of side effects, study suggests. An NHS trial over 10 years followed nearly 3,500 men who received focal therapy, a less invasive treatment.
Rubio convenes countries on left-wing political violence. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Thursday convened leaders from more than 60 countries to take part in the Trump administration's latest effort to quell what it calls left-wing political terrorism.
Why is Pakistan's Sindh province facing a major child HIV outbreak? The latest outbreak linked to a Karachi hospital is the newest in a series that experts say reflects systemic failures.
World's largest olive oil company says market has, definitively, entered new phase. The update comes as analysts raise concerns about the prospect of global olive oil supplies swinging dramatically from one season to the next.
NASA captured the Black Sea turning brilliant turquoise from space. NASA's PACE satellite captured the Black Sea glowing turquoise during its annual phytoplankton bloom. The vivid color comes from massive numbers of coccolithophories, microscopic organisms whose reflective shells brighten the water enough to be seen from space. An astronaut aboard the International Space Station also photographed the bloom spreading through the Bosphorus, revealing swirling currents.
What to know about the Trump indictment on the eve of his court appearance? Read the full story for complete details.
My husband planned our Just Us trip and it was perfect. Here's why it worked. For a smooth, rewarding and drama-free couples trip, take as much stress out of the equation as you can and get comfortable with the fact that a fight may arise, and that's okay.
Japan relaxes royal succession rules, but ban on female emperors remains. The law now allows the adoption of male distant relatives aged over 15 back into the imperial family.
I wouldn't marry him until he paid off his debt. Now I'm in charge of our money. Sarah and her husband have shared one account for 25 years, but she says managing it falls to her.
SpaceX share price drops below stock market debut. Share trading in Elon Musk's rocket company has been volatile since it went public a month ago.
When will it rain again in the UK? July has been very dry, so when will it rain again in the UK?
Jesse Nelson calls plan to test newborns for life-limiting muscle condition a victory. All newborn babies are set to have a heel prick test for spinal muscular atrophy, SMA, in England.
The Odyssey is a colossal piece of cinema, critics say in rave reviews. The film, starring Matt Damon and Zendaya, is director Sir Christopher Nolan's first since Oppenheimer.
England missing final piece of jigsaw, Kane. England captain Harry Kane says the team are missing that final piece of the jigsaw and need to find a way to get better following defeat to Argentina.
New councils to be created in 14 areas of England. The plans will see the abolition of two-tier government, with district and county councils replaced with single, unitary authorities.
Phone contract comparisons amounted to mis-selling student loans, MPs say. A new report says students were not well enough informed that their loan terms could change retrospectively.
Trump administration tightens visa rules for foreign students. Students will need federal permission to stay longer than 4 years in the U.S. and universities will lose the power to extend visas.
Catfished student gets £10,000 after photos used for fake dating profiles. Elham Weston posed as the teenager to strike up romantic conversations on social media.
Japan revises law to ensure supply of male heirs to the imperial throne. A popular princess drives support for having a female Japanese emperor. But the country's first female prime minister opposes it.
John Esposito transformed how the West understood Islam. The pioneering scholar, who died on July 15, challenged Orientalist orthodoxies and reshaped the study of Islam.
BP, ConocoPhillips to back Iraq with major investments as US seeks to weaken Iran's energy hold. BP and ConocoPhillips are set to announce billions of dollars of new investments in Iraq on Friday.
A 37-year soil experiment revealed a hidden climate threat. The world's longest-running soil warming experiment has revealed an unexpected climate concern. After nearly 4 decades, researchers found that warming can cause microbes to break down stable soil carbon that scientists once believed was largely protected. That releases extra carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, potentially accelerating global warming.
Read, Trump indictment related to hush money payment. Read the full story for complete details.
Therapists are using AI to take notes. Is it a useful tool or a breach of trust? New companies are selling artificial intelligence assistants to mental health therapists. The AI tools can help with administration and record keeping, but some patients worry about their privacy.
Philippines condemns monkey video on Chinese media as racist. The AI video on China Daily showed a monkey in Philippine garments singing its claims to the South China Sea.
Trump Media to sell instant access to market-moving social posts. Trump Media is launching a fast, paid feed to its most influential posts for Wall Street traders.
Midnight social media curfew proposed for UK teens aged 16 and 17. The government says it will improve teenagers' lives, but campaigners call it a missed opportunity.
What to know about the Canadian and US wildfires and their impact. Wildfires in Ontario have blanketed US and Canadian cities with dangerous smoke.
COVID inquiry PPE report, key findings. What went wrong with the government's planning and buying of vital items like gloves and gowns that cost taxpayers billions of pounds?
The 85-year-old living in her own art installation. After careers as a teacher, cookbook author, and TV chef, Sue Kreitzman's life took a different path.
How rugby union is booming in football mat Argentina. Rugby union is booming in football mat Argentina, according to Pumas head coach Felipe Conte-Pomi.
Sadiq Khan among 26 new peers to enter the Lords. The London mayor is to be joined by broadcaster June Sarpong and former union chief Christina McInerney in the Lords.
The schools starting late after 1 o'clock England kick-off to reduce pressure on parents. Some schools are opting to open late, arguing they are striking the right balance, and many parents have backed the decision.
White House teleprompter operator accused of making $100,000 from Trump speech bets. A White House staffer has been accused of using inside knowledge of speeches to make nearly $100,000 on Kalshi.
UK heatwave approaches 2-week mark. All UK nations have experienced recent heatwave conditions, but in southern England, the heatwave has now continued for 13 days. Sarah Keith Lucas looks at how unusual this spell of heat is, and when we might see it easing.
An analysis of President Trump's address. President Trump gave a primetime address Thursday night in which he spoke about the integrity of U.S. elections, a topic he has spread disinformation about for much of his political career.
China's Xi says AI should not be a solo performance by a single country. The Chinese leader called for more international cooperation in developing the technology at a conference in Shanghai.
SpaceX aborts Starship test flight, sending stock lower. Elon Musk said it would make another attempt, hopefully in a few days. SpaceX completed the maiden test flight of its Starship V3 rocket in May.
Deep-sea life has a secret food source scientists never expected. Scientists discovered that extreme deep-sea pressure squeezes valuable nutrients out of sinking organic particles, providing an unexpected food source for ocean microbes. The finding could rewrite our understanding of both deep ocean ecosystems and how carbon is stored on Earth.
Russian authorities detain suspect over St. Petersburg cafe blast. Read the full story for complete details.
My body carried me, Elizabeth Smart says. Now she's celebrating it. Her abduction at age 14 drew international attention. After her rescue, Smart says she struggled with feeling shame around her body. Bodybuilding has helped her see herself differently.
Trump Media to sell instant access to market-moving social posts. Trump Media is launching a fast, paid feed to its most influential posts for Wall Street traders.
British Steel taken into public ownership to protect vital UK supply. The Scunthorpe Steelworks has been officially nationalised under new government powers passed this week.
10 years of Pokemon Go and the millions still trying to catch 'em all. Michael Starenka, vice president at the mobile games owner Scopely, says it has always been about bringing people together.
Watch what we know about newly discovered monkey species. New monkey species hailed as amazing discovery by conservationist.
UK wasted £10 billion on PPE that left NHS staff poorly protected, COVID inquiry finds. Healthcare staff were unable to properly protect themselves, or those in their care, from dangerous infections, says the latest inquiry report.
10 unheard tracks from David Bowie's early career to be released. The previously unheard tracks from the 1960s were recorded when Bowie went by the stage name Davy Jones.
England learning on the job in Otis, Root. England batter Joe Root explains the difficulties for young batters in 50 over cricket because of a lack of exposure to the format.
Who is the front-runner to be the UK's next Chancellor? Andy Burnham will be moving into Downing Street next week, and a question remains over who will be his neighbour in number 11.
Exam board sorry for delay to SATs results in England. One school leaders union says it now wants cast iron assurances the final results will be accurate.
Rubio calls for global crackdown on far-left extremism. Democrats said the focus on left-wing groups was politically partisan and could target political opponents.
Energy drinks to be banned for under 16s in England from April. It will be illegal to sell high caffeine beverages to under 16s from April next year, but soft drinks with lower caffeine levels will not be affected.
White House says ICE traffic stops will continue after deadly shootings. The comments came following widespread reports earlier in the week that those stops would be put on pause after 2 immigrants were fatally shot by ICE agents in early July.
Texas floods ravage through southwestern areas of state. At least 2 people are dead, and over 200 were rescued in catastrophic floods in the Texas Hill Country region.
Trump doubles down on 2020 election claims in national address, alleging China meddling. Trump also repeated his calls for the Republican-led Congress to pass the Save America Act, a controversial election bill that lacks support to pass.
Scientists finally solved the mystery of Earth's greatest mass extinction. Why do beaches today have seashells from clams and snails instead of brachiopods? A new study suggests the answer lies in Earth's greatest mass extinction, when warming oceans and falling oxygen levels wiped out animals that couldn't adapt. Species with body plans and metabolisms better suited to the changing conditions survived and went on to dominate the seas, offering a glimpse of how modern marine life could respond to climate change.
Video shows moment of deadly explosion at cafe in Russia. A well-known Russian military blogger, Vladlen Tatarsky, was killed in an explosion at a cafe in St. Petersburg, authorities said. CNN's Matthew Chance reports.
School children at San Diego Mosque need support to process trauma of shooting. After shootings like the one at the San Diego Mosque, people on site and in a community who are not physically hurt also suffer. Children are especially vulnerable.
School bus crash kills at least 20 pupils in Uganda. Dozens others, including school staff, were injured in the crash, suspected to have been caused by a mechanical fault.
White House teleprompter operator accused of making $100,000 from Trump speech bets. A White House staffer has been accused of using inside knowledge of speeches to make nearly $100,000 on Kalshi.
Meta pulls new AI image feature after days of backlash. Meta's release this week of an AI feature that let people alter Instagram content drew swift blowback.
Volunteer firefighter suspected of starting devastating France forest fire. President Macron said there would be no leniency for arsonists, as France, along with much of Europe, deals with a series of unusual heatwaves.
Don't let blood be on your hands, mother tells inquiry. The mum of Elise Sebastian, who died in a mental health unit, gives evidence to the Lampard inquiry.
Jesse Nelson calls plan to test newborns for life-limiting muscle conditioner, Victory. All newborn babies are set to have a heel prick test for spinal muscular atrophy, SMA, in England.
Arsenal to assess Saliba back injury with surgery an option. Arsenal will assess William Saliba's back injury when he reports back to the club after World Cup duty.
Starmer pledges unwavering support for Ukraine on final visit as PM. The outgoing Prime Minister assures President Zelensky of the UK's continued support in its war with Russia.
Teachers in England to get 3.5% pay rise. Schools will need to fund some of the increase, which unions say will further stretch existing budgets.
Trump Media to sell instant access to market-moving social posts. Trump Media is launching a fast, paid feed to its most influential posts for Wall Street traders.
Sadiq Khan among 26 new peers to enter the Lords. The London mayor is to be joined by broadcaster June Sarpong and former union chief Christina McInerney in the Lords.
Flood sirens blare in south-central Texas as rivers reach perilous heights. Flood sirens blared early Thursday in Comfort, Texas, as the Guadalupe River rose more than 30 feet in 3 hours, the U.S. Geological Survey said. The storm could bring even more rainfall than last year's deadly 4th of July floods.
Key takeaways from Donald Trump's controversial speech on election security. The president claimed China and deep state actors had deceived U.S. voters, but critics say his claims were misleading.
She pitches China as AI partner to developing world, warns against risks and security overreach. China will provide developing countries with 5,000 opportunities in AI training and seminar programs, as well as develop AI cooperation with various blocs.
Scientists warn invasive Asian mantises are threatening Europe's wildlife. 2 striking Asian praying mantis species that have rapidly spread across Europe have now been officially classified as invasive, raising new concerns about their impact on native wildlife. Boosted by climate change and urban environments, These fast-breeding predators are expanding northward, where they prey on native insects, pollinators, and even small vertebrates while also reducing native mantis populations through deadly mating interactions.
Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich appeals against arrest, Russian state media says. Read the full story for complete details.
A growing number of therapists are using AI to record sessions and make notes. Artificial intelligence in mental health treatment, including the use of AI to record sessions, transcribe conversations and generate clinical notes, is a new, rapidly changing terrain.
Is the Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake worth the 13-year wait? The BBC's Tom Gherkin plays the much-anticipated pirate game which has been remade from the ground up.
Extreme weather in the UK is the new normal. Sarah Keith Lucas details 5 things you need to know about how the UK climate has changed.
How deadly have the heat waves in England and Wales been? Experts suggest more than 2,700 people may have died from heat-related causes during the heat waves.
24M Tune in to watch England-Argentina. England's defeat to Argentina in the World Cup semi-final attracts an audience of 24 million on the BBC.
England move Buenos Aires base to avoid potential World Cup party. England's rugby players have switched hotels in Buenos Aires to avoid their return home being wrecked by World Cup celebrations should Argentina's football team beat Spain in Sunday's final.
Couples free to marry at the beach or the pub under new plans. The government says it wants to update outdated marriage laws to give couples in England and Wales more choice.
Pupil put in isolation booth for more than half a school year, BBC learns. The pupil's experience in a Yorkshire school highlights concerns about zero-tolerance behaviour policies.
Uncle of N. Widdicombe suspect says he nearly fell to floor over arrest. The uncle of a man being held on suspicion of murder tells the BBC his legs went like jelly when he heard his nephew had been arrested.
In primetime speech, Trump doesn't provide evidence for illegal voting. President Trump raised claims that the country's voting systems are vulnerable to being rigged and stolen, without providing new evidence of a single fraudulent vote cast in any election.
U.S. bombards Iran in sixth straight night of attacks. The U.S. has made good on threats to bomb civilian infrastructure in Iran in its sixth straight night of attacks.
Oil prices rise as U.S.-Iran hostilities threaten supply through Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices rose Friday as investors weighed escalating threats between the U.S. and Iran.
NASA satellites are watching Earth's newest island rise from the sea. A newly discovered underwater volcanic eruption north of Papua New Guinea is unfolding in one of the world's most poorly mapped ocean basins. Satellites have spotted steam plumes, ash, thermal hotspots, and huge floating pumice rafts, suggesting magma is rising surprisingly close to the surface. Scientists are now watching closely to see if the eruption creates a new island, offering a rare opportunity to observe the birth of new land as it happens.
Suspected Chinese spy balloon was able to transmit information back to Beijing. The suspected Chinese spy balloon that transited the U.S. earlier this year was able to capture imagery and collect some signals intelligence from U.S. military sites, a source familiar with the matter tells CNN.
One clinic tracks the heavy toll Trump's immigration crackdown takes on mental health. Zocalo Health, a primary care organization, screens all its patients for depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. It documented a marked increase in those conditions since ICE enforcement actions began.
Investigation into parking tickets for drivers queuing at petrol stations. It's part of a wider crackdown from the consumer regulator into potentially unfair practices by private parking operators.
Apple sues OpenAI, its employees claiming theft of trade secrets. Apple said in a Friday lawsuit that OpenAI's nascent hardware business is rotten to its core.
New monkey species with orange lips found, hiding, in DR Congo forest. Scientists describe, amazing feeling, to look into the face of an animal that so few people knew existed.
How my period is supercharging my ADHD. A first-of-its-kind study by UK researchers is looking at the link between menstrual cycles and ADHD.
Actor Sam Neill died from pneumonia, agent confirms. Neill died in Sydney on Monday, with his family saying his death was sudden and unexpected.
New York issues air quality alert days before World Cup final. Officials in New York and New Jersey issue an air quality health alert because of wildfire smoke just days before the World Cup final.
MP calls for Widdicombe Memorial in Parliament. Helen Grant replaced Anne Widdecombe as MP for Maidstone and the Weald in the 2010 general election.
White working-class children failed by education system, says inquiry. The inquiry spoke to thousands of young people and their parents, as well as hundreds of teachers.
Pittsburgh Bridge demolished in dramatic explosion. The bridge will be replaced with a new, pre-built span that crews will slide into place in the state's largest lateral slide project, authorities say.
Prisoner arrested after escaping during hospital transfer. Marwan Jumar, who is serving a sentence for attacking 2 women, escaped on Tuesday evening.
Dangerous wildfire smoke continues to blanket parts of the U.S. Orange skies and heavy smoke covered large parts of the U.S. on Thursday as Canada and Minnesota grapple with wildfires. Hazardous air quality is expected to continue.
Israeli settlers attack Sinjar town in occupied West Bank. Clashes erupted after Israeli settlers attacked the outskirts of the occupied West Bank town of Sinjar.
Microsoft's Nadella criticizes Anthropic's Fable for being editorially controlled. Microsoft enjoys close ties to Anthropic, but it's also working to help companies refine models that keep their data private.
Europe's most active volcano may have a secret origin. Mount Etna has long puzzled geologists because it doesn't fit any of the 3 classic ways volcanoes are thought to form. A new study suggests it may instead be fueled by ancient pockets of magma that are pushed upward through cracks created by shifting tectonic plates. If confirmed, Etna could belong to a rare 4th category of volcano, revealing that much larger volcanoes can form through processes previously associated only with small submarine eruptions.
Beijing promised to fight back over Taiwan leader's U.S. visit. But this time it has more to lose. An anticipated meeting between Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen and U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in California this week has sparked concerns of a repeat of the pressure campaign China launched last year when then-Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taipei.
Psychiatrists say RFK Jr.'s take on SSRIs is an oversimplification of the problem. The American Psychiatric Association says too few patients can access comprehensive mental health care in the United States. It welcomes new investments in improving access to evidence-based care.
Olympic cyclist admits to driving despite ban after crash that killed wife. Rowan Dennis pleaded guilty to driving while disqualified after police pulled him over last month.
Celebrity influencers paid up to £1 million to advertise deodorant on Instagram. The chief executive of Wild reveals what happens behind the scenes of social media posts.
EU threatens Meta with fines over addictive Facebook and Instagram. Regulators say features such as infinite scroll contribute to compulsive use and unhealthy habits.
Canada wildfires leave train encased in flames as smoke drifts towards U.S. The crew was rescued after the close call. Meanwhile, blazes in Canada have left Toronto under a haze and smoke heading towards several major U.S. cities.
More than 2,700 people may have died in exceptional May and June heatwaves in England and Wales. An early estimate suggests more than 2,700 people will have died from heat-related causes during the UK's exceptionally hot weather in recent months.
Ricky, Melvin and Dean McCullough to leave Radio 1 in schedule shake-up. Jeremiah Asiyama will join Charlie Hedges in the live lounge, among other changes.
Reliable Root steps up again as England beat India to level series. Joe Root hits an unbeaten 99 as he guides England to a 4-wicket win against India in the second one-day international in Cardiff to level the 3-match series, with 1 match to play.
UK says Falkland Islands definitely ours after Argentina banner. Argentina could be disciplined by FIFA for the celebrations after the World Cup win over England.
Number of children getting special educational needs support hits another record high. It is the highest yearly increase in education, health, and care plans, EHCPs, since they were introduced.
Texas will investigate ICE's fatal shooting of man in Houston, governor says. The federal government is investigating the incident, but many have called for an independent probe and more scrutiny of ICE.
Pakistan resisting UK attempts to deport grooming gang leader. The government of Pakistan says it has no connection whatsoever with the case of Shabir Ahmed.
Why Orthodox Jews are opposing the new daylight saving bill in Congress. Orthodox Jewish organizations say the bill, if passed, would force morning prayer services to start after 9 a.m. in some parts of the country, making observant Jews late for work and school.
China rebukes UK over nationalisation of British steel. The UK has appropriated its last working steelworks following fears its former Chinese owners would shut it down.
Fighter jet maker Saab smashes expectations as CEO urges procurement rethink. European governments ramp up defense spending and book orders with the region's companies.
This common pesticide may be quietly wiping out future bumblebees. A next-generation pesticide designed to kill crop pests may also be interfering with the reproductive health of bumblebees. Researchers discovered that low-dose exposure to sulfoxaflor changed gene activity, especially in tissues involved in reproduction, raising concerns about long-term impacts on bee populations. Because pollinators are essential for about one-third of the world's food production, finding ways to protect them while controlling pests has become increasingly important.
Scary, cold, hungry, and lonely, volunteer soldier shares experience on front line. A young volunteer soldier, Akula, who signed up for the war at the beginning of the Russian invasion, is now dealing with the trauma of war. He spoke to CNN's David McKenzie about his time on the front lines and how it has affected his mental health.
Suicide rates have dropped since the 2022 launch of the 988 line. NPR's Juana Summers talks with Angela Kimball of the mental health advocacy group Inseparable about the drop in suicide rates after the launch of the 988 lifeline.
US launches new strikes as Iran says civilian infrastructure hit. Tehran says the US strikes hit bridges, while the US